In this video, I'm going to show you a few beginner ways that you can access other scripts from inside of a script. Now, I see a lot of early beginners asking this question a lot on Discord and Facebook groups of how you can get information from another script. So I'm going to show you a few simple ways here. A lot of these are not the best ways to do it, but they're quick and easy ways to learn as a beginner to do it. And then you'll learn more efficient ways and better practices as you go. So I have a little sample scene here. I just have this little zombie plushie and a rabbit plushie here. These were made by somebody on my Discord server named BT Hadley. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is on the rabbit, I'm going to create a script and I'm just going to call it rabbit. I'll call it rabbit controller. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the zombie, so I'll call this zombie controller. Now let's open the rabbit controller script. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a string variable, call it character name. And then this one I'm going to equal rabbit. This script here for the rabbit controller has a string for its name. I should probably spell it right. Okay, so we have that, and we're going to do the exact same thing for the zombie. So this is just simulating, say if you had like a player character here and an enemy. That's kind of what this is. Our bunny can be our player and the zombie can be the enemy. So both of them we want to have a name so we know what they are. So we put string, I'll do the same thing. I'll do character name and we'll call it zombie. Okay, so now each script has a name for what it is. And let's do it where in the rabbit controller, we want to get access to the zombie and then display his name. So currently we have nothing in here to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to make a variable of type zombie controller. So we'll do zombie controller. And I'm just going to call this zombie. So we have a variable to store this script in. And all this is going to do is store a copy of this script, or actually a reference to it, inside of this variable here. So the quickest and easiest way to do this is when you create your variables, a lot of the time you're going to notice in front of them, there'll be something that either says private, or in this case, even looking at the class rabbit controller, it says public. Now adding public in front of something means any other script in Unity can access that. So that's what we're actually going to do here with the zombie controller. Let's put public, and the opposite when we put a private in front. So if you notice, if we leave it like this, C# automatically makes this private if we don't put public or private. So you can be very specific and explicit putting private here, but without it, it's the exact same thing. But if we want to make this public, we can add public here. Now watch what happens here. When we go back into Unity, and we select our rabbit, notice now you see zombie here on the script and it has an empty box. So what you can do is you can drag any object that has a zombie controller script on it into this box. So if we look at our zombie plushie, we look here, he has a zombie controller script on it. So if we go to the rabbit, we can click and drag this right into the box, and notice it goes from the crossed out icon to a pointer here. And if we let go, now it says zombie plushie. And just to show, if something like, say the plane here, which is my ground, if we look on this script, there is no zombie plushie controller on it. So if I go back to the rabbit and I try to drag plane on, notice what happens here. It still keeps the crossed out because it needs to have that zombie controller script to be able to do this. Okay, so now we have access to this. The one thing to note with this way too is you have to do this in the editor. You can't just drag and drop it while the game's running, because a player playing your game isn't going to be able to do that. So this is something you do while you're in the editor at edit time. If you want to find different objects while it's running, you'll have to use different approaches I show later. Now let's go back to our script here, and what we can do is in start, we're just going to use debug.log just to display a message to the console. We want to display this character's name. So I'm going to do character name, and then we'll do a plus, and let's just do has found the. Okay, and we're going to start typing. So we type zombie, and then if we put a dot, notice what's going to happen here is if we want to access the character name, we don't see it in here. And the reason for this is we made this zombie variable public so we could drag it in, but inside of this zombie controller script in here, if this value is not public, then we're not able to access it from this script. So by default, it's private, just like this. And what that means is only code inside of this zombie controller script can access this character name variable. Nobody else can. So to get to it, what we need to do is make it public. Okay, and now that we save that, if we start typing zombie, we can do character name, and now we have the character name here. Let's go back to Unity, and one other thing to notice here now that we did that is if we look at our zombie, notice now because we made it public, the character name value is here. So we can actually change the character name right in the game editor instead of having to go into the code. So let's open the console. If we run the game now, we're going to see Rabbit has found the zombie. And just to demonstrate that, the reason we used variable names in here instead of actually typing in like Rabbit or the zombie name is now anytime we change them in the editor, so let's change, we can change zombie to be, we'll just say plushie. And now if I run this, now Rabbit has found the plushie. So it uses these values. You don't have to change it in code every time. You can set it up here. And this is a way you start to make a lot of values like, say like attack strength, health, things like that, where you can set them right in the inspector here. Okay, so now if we look at this here, so if we had other things, we could do the same thing. We could do something like say public, we'll set an integer, and we'll do health. And we'll set it to say 50. So this zombie has 50 health points. And then we can do the same thing here. We can say character has found the zombie, and then we can do plus, and we can say, and he has plus again. We'll do zombie.health. And then health. So now when we run our game, it's going to output how much health this zombie character has. Okay, and there now it shows he has 50 health. So then anytime you're, say, attacking this zombie, now you have a way that you can actually see how much health he has. And then you can do a little if statement in here and you can check. If he has 0 health, then you know you killed the zombie. So this is the first way to start accessing these. Now, another way, what if you didn't want to drag in this zombie into the Rabbit controller? So the way we have it set up right now is on the Rabbit, we have to drag in the zombie here. So say, what if this zombie didn't get created until after the game was already running? So the zombie wouldn't be here right now. You have no way to get him. You would have to do it while the game is running. So one quick, easy way to do this is I'm just going to make an awake method. And if you're not familiar, awake runs before start. So it's one of the first methods that runs. What we can do here is I'm going to change this. I'm going to set this to be private again. So now if we look, we don't have a way to drag in the zombie. But in awake, let's do zombie, and then we'll do equals. And I'm going to do find object of type. And then in the brackets, we can do zombie controller. So now what this is going to do is as soon as the game starts, it's going to do a search and find anything that has a zombie controller script and then put it into zombie. And just to note, this is only going to find the first one. So if you have multiple zombies, the first one it finds, it's going to put in zombie. If you had multiple and you wanted to get them all, there's different ways of doing that. I'm not going to cover that in this video yet, but I just wanted to show this here. So this is going to find anything with a zombie controller, and everything else should work the exact same. So let's go and test it out here. We'll clear the console. Okay, so we found our zombie, and he has 50 health. So I hope this makes the concept a lot more clear, and now you understand how you can access different variables inside of different scripts. As you progress in programming, you don't want to end up making everything public. You only want to do that when you need to. But for starting out, this is a great way to get your foot in the door and just kind of start practicing accessing other variables inside of other scripts. So I hope this helps. If you have any comments or suggestions for other topics like this you want to see, just leave them below and I'll try to make some videos for you.